Drowning in clutter? If so, you are in the right place. At Clarity Corner with Christiana, we peel back the layers that are clouding your ability to see and show you ways you can reclaim your life and your communication. It's not what you know, it's what you implement that makes all the difference. Welcome to Clarity Corner with Christiana. I am so happy to be back with you this week. Today, we're talking about systems are the backbone of your business. Now, I get this all the time, and now, Bobby, you're totally blueprint, so you probably have a system for everything. But for those of you that don't have that structured personality type, this is something that can be quite a challenge, getting these things set up. And I'll tell you, it is once you get them in place, all of a sudden your life is going to take off. You're going to have more time. You're going to be able to grow and scale your business. But if you have to keep reinventing the wheel, you're going to end up spinning your wheels, ending up really exhausted. And for those of you that work for yourself, you're going to end up being your own worst boss, meaning because you're not going to have time for your life. You're going to spend all your time working because you're not taking these systems and letting them maximize your time. So today we're really excited because we're going to dive into it. Last week we talked about what are your goals for the month? How are you setting your 3 goals up so that way you know what you're accomplishing? Now we're looking at what systems do you need to have in place. So today we're going to be looking at, we're going to have a deep look at what's missing as far as systems support to get you where you want to go. We're also going to talk about delegation. And one of my mentors said to me, you're only as successful and scalable as your ability to delegate. Because if you look at any successful business, it's not a one-person show. It's a team. And how are you going to be able to delegate and follow up with those people? Also, the routines that you have. Now, each personality type, again, approaches this differently. But when we look at what routines can support your personality type and you start putting them into your business, all of a sudden, you're going to start creating that momentum for your business. And then we're going to have a look at timelines, like how are you blocking out your schedule? How are you creating that structure? So 1, you're honoring your calendar, but 2, if you don't have a good system for doing that, who can you model that's similar to the way that your personality type is that can work for you? So again, it's all about customizing everything for you. And today I have a very special guest that's going to be joining us. I'm really excited to introduce her. Her name is Karen Liz Albert. She is actually a dear friend. I've known her for years and years. And I remember when she was a one-stop shop business, the only person in her business, and I've watched her scale her business. And she is a social media consultant. She's a speaker, an author, a seminar leader with over 20 years of experience. She founded her company Behind Your Curtain. Oh my goodness, she can tell you how long ago. And today she's going to share her experiences with us on growing her business and adapting changes to life. Like she's got a big thing happening in her life that's just adjusting how she has to manage her time. And so we're going to have that dialogue today because again, when it comes to these systems, I really want you to see it from multiple viewpoints. So that way you can find something like, ooh, that sounds like it would work for me. Because there's not a one size cookie cutter approach that fits everybody. Everybody has a way that they're approaching it. And it's about customizing it for you and doing what works for you. So everyone, please welcome Karen Albert.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my dear. I'm so excited to be here. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. I just finished completely rearranging Maya, my daughter's room, to get ready for the baby coming in a few weeks.
Ah, the big mic drop. You're gonna be a grandma.
I am.
Oh, that's so exciting. So today we're talking about systems and setting up systems for your business. And I remember back in the day when you were the the cook, cleaner, and the bottle washer, you're doing it all.
What do you need? I can do it.
Exactly. So you're a social media expert and you have a system that you created because you were kind of doing everything for everybody. And you created a product called the 30-day social media facelift?
Yeah.
So it was a 30-day. And again, every week you tackled one thing. So at the end of a month, people had a result, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, before that, you were kind of just Did you have a system before that? What were you doing before you came up with the 30-day social media facelift?
Yeah, so I was pretty much just, what do you need? I'm going to try and figure out how. And that was pretty much a recipe for disaster, because not only did I find myself exhausted, but I wasn't actually adding value to my clients either, because clients think that they think they know what they need because, they sort of think, well, I'm building a business, so I think I need this and I think I need that. And you just kind of need to help them understand, you're going to need this. I'm not the best person to do it for you. Let me find somebody that can do it, because this is my expertise. And when I really shifted into that clarity of saying no and really just focusing on the saying yes, really hone in on that skill and not try and be in everything to everybody, that was a huge game changer in the trajectory of my business.
Wow. Well, and again, it's also that the way that you were setting up your business. So what I really want to have a look at is the first step really is being willing to see where you are, right? You have to be willing to assess. So when it comes to looking at systems, like what systems, so for the listeners, what systems do you actually already have in place? Right? Because I always like to start with your successes. So do you have anything in place that's working? That's really, really key. And then what an easy way to look at it is if you look at the gaps from the previous year, like, is there anything missing? Like, oh, could I have had something in place that would have made my life easier? And so for you, do you have anything
Always.
that,
There always is. Yeah.
So what would you say
Because
that
it's
you're
an
focusing on
evolution, right?
now?
It's sort of like it's an evolution, because you're constantly building the machine and rebuilding the machine. And when you get systems in place, like right now, I have systems that help to much of my process as possible. There's still elements to that require the human part of it and my interaction, obviously, but I have the online appointment system. I've got the automated calendar. I've got the CRM system that has automated emails that go out and workflows and triggers and, all of the processes. And this was another huge thing that I just did last year, the beginning of last year, is I documented all of my processes and I did video of like how to actually do them, because then I was able to delegate and hire somebody to say, this is how I do it and this is how I would like for you now to do it. And when you write it all out, the funny thing is you kind of get visibility into some of the gaps, like, oh, I could maybe do this a little bit better. And also when you delegate to people, they sometimes have the ability to sort of say, maybe we could do it this way a little bit better. But there's no way I would be where I am right now at the success and growth of my business if I hadn't gotten the systems in place, which positioned me to then be able to delegate, which, it's just critical.
Absolutely. And what I love, you said, wow, you said so much in there. What I want to talk about and drill down is it comes down to writing down what is it, everything that you're doing. What are all the steps that you're taking?
Yeah.
And when you write that down, right? Because again, we want to look at what systems do you have, and you're always going to be improving them. Right? Maybe you start out, like you said, you start out with a CRM, but you didn't have the follow-up emails. Well, then you had to add the follow-up emails with the triggers, but that's a whole nother thing. And then do you do it or do you outsource it? And again, just making sure what do you need to have in place? And then the next thing that you talked about, which is really important, is delegation. You don't need to be doing everything. And if you're like, for instance, with the radio show, I have a podcast. But for me, what I realized is if you go on the radio show website at tantalknetwork.com and you go to my show, it's just dates, but there's no, here's the title of the show. There's no, here's the bio of what the show's about. So I hired somebody to go through, edit out all the commercials and have like a nice musical interlude, which actually resets your brain, which is super fun. And then now I'm uploading it to Podbean because I want to be able to track my numbers. I want to be able to say to somebody, hey, go and listen to this show. and be able to point people in the right direction. And that way I can make it more useful to my listeners. But again, I could have gone through and figured it out, but I hired somebody and he had it done in a day and a half.
Exactly.
Right. Or I could have taken 10 months to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it too is how much do you actually want to practice what you preach? Because if you're a business owner, you have a product or a service or something that you're selling that is hopefully making someone's life better, right?
Absolutely.
Whatever capacity that is. So when you're communicating the value of whatever it is that you're offering, part of that pitch is how much do you want your life to be better? That this is going to help you. And so a lot of what I say when I'm pitching to real estate agents is, how much time do you think you're going to have to spend to be able to get everything done that I'm going to be able to do for you? So I'm telling them to delegate to me, but how much can I really have had confidence in that pitch if I wasn't actually practicing that, right? Myself and my own business.
Exactly.
You do gain that confidence when you're like, I wouldn't try and sell my home by myself. I need to get a realtor, right? So you're going to hire the professionals to get it done quicker and probably better than you could ever even really do yourself. And so you have to look inward at, am I guilty of, not doing what I'm asking my clients to do?
Absolutely. And, you make a good point. Somebody once said that, a professional is expensive, but an amateur will cost you more than a professional could ever, right? Because what's going to happen is you're going to go enthusiastically in the wrong direction, trying to cut corners and not get it done correctly, and have someone who doesn't have the expertise. So they're going to make the mistakes that a professional would know not to make. Right. And you see this all the time with social media, right? Like people go out and they put everything out and they think, oh, well, I'm supposed to post 3 times a week, but they're posting like random stuff. None of it fits. It dilutes their brand. And they wonder why people don't follow them.
Right. No strategy. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And things live forever on social media. The other thing I want to talk about too is that the foundation of everything that I do comes down with clarity and communication. So the action personality style is super fast. They move so fast. They don't want to take time to have a system because they think it's going to slow them down. But what's fascinating when I've worked with my actions is that when we get a system in place, they can actually go faster.
So true.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I've worked with this one woman and she said she's been more productive in the 4 weeks we've been working together than she has before, because she would go in like 20 different directions. And all I did was put guardrails up and say, okay, run this way, like do these 10 things. And then
just stay in one lane.
Exactly. Right. And as soon as you get these 10 things done and put in place, then I'll give you more. But again, it's like, we're not taking on anything else until you complete what you have. So again, it's like really, so as you're listening, I want you to really think about what are the systems you need in place. We're going to head into commercial and we will be right back.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you hoping to grow your business but not sure how? Has your business flattened out? It may be your messaging. This is Maureen Famiana with MEF Media. I've been in the TV broadcasting business for more than 30 years, and I enjoy helping businesses and entrepreneurs go to the next level. It's about strategy and branding, finding the right story to tell, and then getting media exposure. I'm here to help you grow your business. Find me on Facebook or my website at MEF Media, and let's launch your next chapter today.
A few years ago, my skin was a mess. It was dry, lifeless, and aging fast. My busy travel schedule teaching yoga across the world was really catching up on me. I tried everything I could find, and it just got worse. So I created my own product based on 100% natural ingredients, and what a difference. Now my skin is glowing and radiant, and I look and feel 10 years younger. The serum I used is called F3. It's our best seller, and I've created a whole range of products to suit all skin types. So if you want actual results using 100% natural skincare, visit formulaflawless.com.
Hi, this is Prior Smith speaking from Toronto. Join me here on the Tan Talk Radio Network at 9 a.m. and 12 noon, Monday through Friday, for Canada Calling, a daily update of news from home for vacationing Canadians. Here on WTAN AM and FM in Clearwater and Dunedin, 1340 and 106.1. WDCF AM and FM in Dade City, 1350 and 102.3. And WZHR AM and FM in Zephyr Hills, 1400 and 104.3. A Tan Talk Radio Network.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to The Clarity Strategist. I am on here with special guest Karen Albert. And before we go and dive back into what we were talking about, which is setting up those systems in your business so you can save time and grow and scale your business, you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/The Clarity Strategist, The Clarity Strategist, and you can catch the radio show streamed live there, and you can ask questions as much as you want. If you're listening live and you want to call in and ask a question about systems or anything like that, feel free to dial in at 727-441-3000. Excellent. So Karen, we're coming back now. We're talking about delegation. Before we actually dive into that, I remember when you were setting up your business and you would go out and you give all these talks. And I remember building an action guide for you to go along with your talk, the first one that you did like ages and ages and ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yep.
What was so crazy about that is you would go and give all these different talks. And then you finally said, oh, wait a second. Now I just give one talk. I have the same action guide you built from like forever ago. But that started catapulting your ability to get speaking engagements.
Yeah, it really did. That was 2010.
Oh my God, that
Yeah.
was so long ago.
I know. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I remember that because it was, I'll talk about this or I'll talk about that or whatever I felt that they needed. And you really helped me craft the message and the handouts, remember, that we were asking the people to fill out, left a very specific takeaway for them. And that became my signature talk. And I did that for years and years. And it was great. And yeah, and became repeatable, right?
Right. And then what happened, what I noticed for you is you actually started focusing on your system back when you were doing it all yourself, right? You used to do all the social media work yourself. And then what I noticed is you started hiring people to help you. So then you would sell it and then you would meet with the client, but you would have somebody do it in the background. So you didn't necessarily have to do it. You were overseeing it. Can you describe, because people get nervous about delegation because what if I hand it off and it goes poorly? Can you just talk about when you were first delegating, how that went for you? And
yeah,
because I know that it was a journey.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Well, one of the things that I did know, and you always are helpful about this, is I knew that I had to have systems in place before I would be able to start to delegate. And so once I got clear on exactly, like I was saying in the beginning, I documented my process, looked at the tools I needed to make sure that I had everything in place. Because when you start delegating and you don't really have the systems in place, it makes it really challenging on you and the person that you're asking, that you're delegating to. So kind of looking again at that 30,000 foot level of what exactly is my process and what are the systems I need to plug into that process to make sure that it's going to be as efficient as possible. But then you have, like you were saying, the huge fear that comes along with, can I really hand this over to someone else? Can they do it as well as I can? This is my baby, right? Like, I know this the best and the most, and can anybody else do it as well as me? And that's just something you just gotta work through and let it go. Because what I discovered, and I was very, very blessed because I found someone almost immediately that she's still with me today. And this was 4 years ago. And she's better than me. And
wow.
I have no problem saying that, but what it allowed me to do was to, and you say this all the time, not just work in my business, right? But work on it. And so I wasn't the hamster in the wheel, just doing all the work and spinning and spinning and 12, 15, 16-hour days because I was selling, but then you have to fulfill it too. So it allowed me to have time that I could still continue to look at what other systems do I need to put in place? What could I be doing better? And what other services could I be doing? And giving the opportunity to make more money. Because when you're the hamster in the wheel, you're not out there, right? You're not making the money because you're not able to be in the places that helps you to really find your next clients and be selling and networking and all of that.
I see that with my clients all the time. They'll go and they'll do all the networking and they'll get out there and they'll do all that stuff. And then they get a wave of clients and then they have to stop all of that because now they have to serve their clients. And then they get all this stuff and then they have to start all over again and go, oh my God, now I have to get out there and market again because I finished my clients. And so it becomes this ebb and flow. So it's like, oh, I'm riding the wave. Oh, wait a second. I hit the beach. Now I got to get back out there and now I got to catch a wave. And it's this, and so having these systems in place, I'm working with a commercial real estate company and his grandfather started the business. His dad bought it from his grandfather and then he bought it from his dad. And what's really fascinating is everybody would ask him all the questions and he didn't have his systems in place. And he's very organized, but again, having all your standard operating procedures in place so that way your team knows how to support you is a completely different animal. And we spent 6 months going through all the different systems and what it was crazy. And then we would like get all this laid out and it would be amazing. And we'd be like, oh my God, we totally forgot this whole section. And what it does is it, like you said, it shows the gaps in your system. And then, but once you have it set up, all of a sudden now you can hand it off and now you can oversee what they're doing. I always say one of the big things I've always said in my business is if you hire an assistant before you know what you're doing, you're going to be held hostage because they're going to organize based on their brain, which does not work like your brain or you would not hire them. And
it's so true.
Right. And now you're held hostage.
Yeah.
And just so you know, so everyone knows my personality type is nurturing, action, blueprint, knowledge. And you are a nurturing, action, knowledge, blueprint.
Yep.
So what does that mean? That means that we both are crazy relationship people. And once we know something, as soon as you're our friend, we'll do whatever. We'll just dive in and go.
Exactly.
Right. It's like we buy how you sell to the both of us is you become our friend and then we'll buy whatever pretty much.
Exactly. We're sucked in.
My husband gets so mad at me. He'll be like, just because you like them doesn't mean they're an expert. I'm like, but I like them. He's like, do your due diligence. I'm like, I have you for that.
I know. It's so true.
It's terrible. But what's different is because then I'm a nurturing action blueprint. That means under stress, I'm like, what's the next step? What's the process? What do we have to do? Like I just got dental work done. And I said, you have to tell me every step you're doing as you're doing it. And then I'll just be calm. But if you don't tell me, then my brain's going to fixate on what you're doing. And he's like, oh. And I said, yeah, that's just my personality type. But you are someone under stress where you just want more information. You want to go learn something. You want to gather information, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And since your blueprint last, systems were really a challenge, right?
Oh, yeah. That's not fun. I didn't want to do that. No, I want to go play, but interestingly, and you probably know this because this is probably what your clients tell you all the time is once you get them into the process of documenting everything, it actually is kind of fun. It's not as scary as it seems.
Exactly. Well, it feels like Mount Everest when you're first doing it. Like you're like, oh my God, it's huge. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But once you start doing it, and this is what I notice when I'm doing clarity mapping with people. Once we get it out of your head, all of a sudden it's manageable. You can be like, oh, I can do this piece, or I can do this piece, or I can, and then you're like, it feels so good when you get one system in place. You're like, ooh, now I can do another one. And now I can do another one. And then all of a sudden you see the machine start, like, think of like the train, right? It's like, it's just starting to roll down the tracks. And then the more you keep going, the more momentum it builds. And then next thing you know, you're on a bullet train. But getting it going is the hardest part. And that's where people lose a lot of, I would say that's where they lose a lot of emotional energy because each personality type approaches it differently. Oftentimes the knowledge people get too much information and they never take action. But they learn everything. They have more certifications or more information than they ever know. And they don't delegate because they want to know all the information. So they never really get started. The the blueprints are pretty good. They usually have it handled, but they're so rooted in the way that they do it. Sometimes they can slow themselves down. And then the nurturing, we just follow everyone. We follow relationships, right? We're like, oh, you use this product? Okay, I could do that. And then you realize that's not even, how many times have you bought something because somebody said, try this, and it didn't work?
Yeah, in the beginning, definitely. Now I'm more of the, let me get the information sort of, I think like we step on enough landmines that hopefully we get to a point where we're like, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to step on that landmine again,
Exactly. So let's dive into the next step. So again, let's just go back really quick. So again, you want to look at what systems do you have in place, celebrate that. And you can always tweak them. What are the gaps that you're experiencing? Where are you falling down? A lot of times what I find is people follow down in follow-up systems. Like they don't have the follow-up systems in place. So what do you need? Like, do you need your online calendar? Do you need the emails, the automated emails for the reminders, the follow-up? Do you have like a system for that? So again, just identify where you're missing systems or where you're repeating things over and over, but you don't have a process for it. And then just document it to the best of your ability. As soon as you start, it makes it easy. Then what can you delegate? Once you have that system, what can you delegate? And then the next is really talking about your routine. So in order to get that train moving and going down the track, the routine actually starts helping. So what were some of the routines that you set up, Karen?
Well, all of that is it's so true. And it's funny, I'm hearing you and I'm like, oh yeah, like you're taking me back like 5-6 years. Like, yeah, I remember when I had that problem and I did that. But, the one point that I want to make, that based on what you were saying, and then I'll answer your routine, is that the real benefit of having the systems in place and delegating is that you will, I say benefit, but it kind of makes you aware of where, and I think this is what you're saying, of like where you're kind of stuck, right? Like I can't scale now because I'm sort of just in this loop of doing the same thing over and over again. So looking at your routines is very important, but at the same time, like what I'm dealing with right now is I don't have systems in place to be able to circle back to this amazing database of clients that I have and upsell, right?
Okay.
Because I'm so well oiled, this machine that I've got of bringing in new clients and fulfilling, and then bringing new clients and fulfilling. But I'm leaving some serious money on the table because I know that I could be circling back and upselling and offering new services. And that's kind of the opportunity that you get once you have set this routine and the systems. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like
so what you have,
opportunity.
Yeah. So what you have is you've got the first step, the first rung in your wheel, totally well oiled. Like you could do it in your sleep, right? You have the team that are supporting you. You've got all that. Now the next step, right, is how do I then circle back? Now you actually are using the system, the technology of Bank in it. So you know the actual personality code of each of your clients. So what you could do just as a simple process is pull out all your nurturing clients that you are easy to communicate. You don't have to learn anything to talk to them, right? You know exactly. And host a call, host a call and say, hey, let's do a check-in call. How are you? What's going on? What challenges are you having? And they're going to tell you their challenges that they're having. And then that will show you the solution you can provide to them.
Yeah. And you know what's awesome is almost all of my clients are either action nurture or nurture action because they're real estate agents.
That's amazing. Well, and knowing your clients, right?
So, over the years, they're all A or N or N or A.
That's huge. Like the fact that you know your clients. So now when you see someone who's blueprint, you're like, oh, that's probably not going to be the best client for me.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
It happens almost 90% of the time. I'm like, oh, you're a high B or a high K.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to work with you.
You'd be like, I have somebody that would be a better fit for you. And then you get a referral fee, right? Like,
yep. Oh, it's so true. Yeah, I've done that. I have. You're absolutely right. I've just said, yeah, I don't think that's going to be the best fit. And I've gone back and looked at their bank. Sure enough.
Yeah.
They're like high B or high K.
Now I'm laughing because Bobby, my producer, is a total bank. He's a blueprint action nurturing knowledge. Bobby, we want to get your feedback on this. Can you chime in based on what we're talking about? What are your thoughts on that?
I was thinking about the dentist thing. The funny part is I'm not worried about each step at the dentist. I'm more worried about if they move the appointment time or something like that during the day.
Wow. Yeah, because that disrupts your schedule, right? You have a plan, and if they don't give you enough notice.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, but it's interesting, but you're a nurturing under stress. So you're probably about more building a relationship.
Right.
So if you're in that, you're probably going to want to like have a rapport with the person, right? Where I just want to know what's happening.
Right. I want to call them 3 times ahead of time and get to know the whole staff on the way in, all that stuff.
Exactly. And then with producing in the radio booth, you have a certain system that you follow in order to produce a show.
Oh yeah. And
what happens if you get out of your system?
It's usually the computer that gets me out of my system, but it's
exactly.
It's adjustment. A few phone calls are made, and that's about it. But like last week when you were talking about the Post-it notes,
yes.
And how you said you could never, you'd be putting them everywhere on the walls, all that stuff.
Yes.
Well, my system is more like their edges all meet and they're all right here in front of the console, and it's like they're all perfectly in a line. And when I'm done, I just rip each one off, and that's kind of the system.
That's hilarious. That I use. Karen, he's talking about my accountability partner is a blueprint nurturing, and so she uses Post-it notes, and I said yes, but you're a blueprint, so you're going to use organized Post-it notes, right? For a nurturer, they're going to be everywhere, right? They're going to be like there's no structure. Yeah. So it's hilarious that he's like, I have these perfectly organized Post-it notes. That's my system, right? You have them all laid here so you don't forget anything. And once you complete it, you throw it away.
And if I don't get it done that day, I will literally stick them on the mailbox or my mailbox here and then pull them off and put them back on the board the next day in the same order.
But I love that system, right? You have that system in place. So you don't forget anything, and you keep it in track. That's exactly what we're talking about. If you didn't have that system in place, you might forget a step in the show. Like if you don't set up the commercials in advance, things like that. So I love that. So your routine is you have that system of your Post-it notes, you have your process. So I love this so I hope you guys, if you're listening at home, if you have any questions, feel free to call in. It's 727-441-3000. One of the things that I find when it comes to clarity and organization is there's a lot of shame around how we screw up, right? And like, oh God, if she ever saw in my brain, she would just never come back, right? Everybody, don't you think? Everyone thinks like, oh my God, they haven't seen me. I can't even tell you how many times people say that to me, but asking a question all of a sudden frees you up from that block or wherever you're stuck. And it's so much faster than you think. So reach out, ask on Facebook at facebook.com/The Clarity Strategist, or feel free to call in. You've got us here. We can help you. We're going to head to break. We'll be right back.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
A few years ago, my skin was a mess. It was dry, lifeless, and aging fast. My busy travel schedule teaching yoga across the world was really catching up on me. I tried everything I could find, and it just got worse. So I created my own product based on 100% natural ingredients, and what a difference. Now my skin is glowing and radiant, and I look and feel 10 years younger. The serum I used is called F3. It's our best seller, and I've created a whole range of products to suit all skin types. So if you want actual results using 100% natural skincare, visit formulaflawless.com.
Excitement returns to the Sunshine State. It's the most thrilling time of the year, and the Florida State Fair is back with epic rides, immersive live performances, and so much more. You don't want to miss it. The Midway is waiting for you. Find your fun in the sun at the Florida State Fair. Tickets on sale now. Limited time deals online at floridastatefair.com. Florida State Fair, February 10th through the 21st.
Are you hoping to grow your business but not sure how? Has your business flattened out? It may be your messaging. This is Maureen Famiana with MEF Media. I've been in the TV broadcasting business for more than 30 years, and I enjoy helping businesses and entrepreneurs go to the next level. It's about strategy and branding, finding the right story to tell, and then getting media exposure. I'm here to help you grow your business. Find me on Facebook or my website at MEF Media, and let's launch your next chapter today.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Clarity Corner with Christiana. I have special guest Karen Albert with me. And Karen, you were sharing that one of the ways that you can scale up your business for a system is then how do you circle back to your database of clients and then offer another product? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to use our process to take you through that. So the system that you have in place, you identified a system. So delegating. Do you have a system or an idea for a way that you can circle back with them? Or is it something where you have this amazing client or someone working with you that could reach out to your clients for you? Just do a 15-minute follow-up. You could outline a quick follow-up call. Hey, how are you doing? Give me an idea of how.
Yes, actually, I do. I have a team that I outsource to does the fulfillment of the 30-day facelift programs. But then I have another team that is I delegate more of the operational stuff to. Okay. So they will be following up on, people that maybe they needed to reschedule a call or they were interested, but they wanted me to touch base with them in like 3 months. And so there's a whole kind of email queue system, and that this person is kind of managing and monitoring all of that. Okay. So I could easily just create another email communication string and then create a system where he's reaching out and seeing if they would be interested in, like you were saying, scheduling a time to check in or follow up. Or maybe it's kind of what you were saying is just maybe surveying them. What else is it that you absolutely have a need for?
Well, you have nurturers, nurture actions and action nurturers. Yep. So the actions, they're all about being cool, dressed to impress, right? They love that excitement, enthusiasm, right? They want that sizzle, the lifestyle, the dream, all of that. So how can you create a VIP experience for your action style personalities? So what I would say is separate your two people into your nurturers and your actions and do a campaign and just say, hey, like, who do you have that you could like provide access to? Like do an online Zoom meeting that's kind of like a high end thing. Like, hey, what's a way that I can help you get the edge in your business? Or, hey, meet these movers and shakers in your industry. I'm going to put on a call. You could do something like a VIP experience and have them meet each other and create that whole experience for those people. And for the nurturers, you can create a community where they get support and they can be supported by each other. And they can have all the hand holding. Yeah. So now you have two different paths because it's beautiful. You only have the two types.
Yeah, I really do. Mm-hmm.
So you could create a process and then do a whole thing and say, oh my God, hey, I'm doing this give back to, I don't know, you could find a charity and have all the nurturers participate and do something, and you could have a competition for the action.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Right. So that way you can see it's like, oh, wait, because now you're selling them the sizzle and the dream and whatever, and you can do a competition and then they can win a package with you. Right.
Right. Yeah. So you can't talk to them all the same way.
No, but the actions are pretty easy. And again, you want to look at too, the other thing that you want to think about too is the action nurturers are different than the action knowledge or the action blueprint, right? So we can have a deeper conversation on that later. But again, just understanding like, wait a second, I can just do like a VIP party or something. Or if there's a bunch of people local in Denver, you could, have cocktails in a club, or you could do something like that. Like, have a night out at a cool club.
Yeah, we're actually doing that on the end of the month. We're putting together a whole celebrating the top 100 realtors. It's like a gala event, and we're dressing up and everything. And yeah, they're pretty excited about it.
So can you raffle off a couple tickets?
Yeah.
right? So do like a competition between now and say, hey, I'm raffling off some tickets. Like, let's do this, like do a social media blitz or something. And whoever competes, then they get to win tickets to this gala.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It definitely does get the attention of the actions.
Exactly. And that's a way to reignite that relationship as well, because you're giving them something, you're like totally feeding them in the way that they like to be spoken to. Same thing with the nurtures. You create a whole like, serve the community or something, or do like if they're all local to you, that's great. If they're not, if they're spread out, you could do something online and do a whole project where they can get together. So just different ideas. And then again, like, so you want to think, and then you want to think about your routine. Okay. So what's your routine going to be when it comes to after they finish the 30-day social media facelift? What's the routine? Do you have like a VIP party once a month where you can check in, find out how you can support them, give them the competitive edge in their industry? Or like, what is that routine of communication going forward with them?
Yeah. I mean, I have something in place, but it's definitely stale. Like I feel as if it just needs a kind of, I need something new.
Exactly. And again, that's where the personalities come into play perfectly, because once you understand what matters to them, and the actions and the nurtures are going to be a completely different approaches.
Completely. You're right. 100%. Yeah.
So again, it's got, right. So what can you delegate? How can you hand it off to your people? Then what I would do is come up with 2 different things that you could do for your actions. I think definitely raffling off a couple tickets to this event, the VIP gala. Oh my God. Right. With the top realtors, like come hobnob with the top 100 realtors. And then you get to create that. That's exactly what the actions want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. It speaks to them. Yep.
And so really just being able to have that. And then you want to look at blocking your schedule. Okay, so if you're going to be setting this up, what is your timeline? Get your deadline and then backtrack it to like what you need to do. You need to have an initial call about it, maybe get them all on the phone, create the contest, and just as a way just to be able to serve your population. But how are you going to schedule that out? How are you going to timeline that out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, definitely have to look at the process first, document that, and then talk to my VA person. Here.
Exactly. Right.
So help me.
Well, and she may have some great ideas. And what is your VA? What is her code? Do you remember?
So the one that is with a facelift and everything, she's actually the exact same as me.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The guy who does more of the operational stuff, who would be more helping me with what we're talking about here, I don't know what his is. I have to give him the test.
First step, get him to crack his code. So, hey, guys, if you're wondering what your personality type is, go to crackmycode.com/clarity. crackmycode.com/clarity. You can get a free personality report all about you. And the first step is you have to know who you are. So you know how, like what glasses, we always say, what glasses are you wearing? Like what lens do you look at the world through? Because like Bobby looks at the world through systems and structure and planning. And if you disrupt a schedule, but for Karen and I, we're all about nurturing. We just want a relationship. We want to hang out. We want to connect. Who are you? What are you about? What matters to you? And so you have to understand what lens you're looking through. And then again, it's like, that's super important. I mean, the first step, that's why I always talk about this, Karen, and why I'm so committed in teaching this information is because if you don't know that, all the efforts that you're putting up could be for naught.
Truly. Yep.
All right. So what would you say is your biggest success when it comes to your business as far as getting a system in place or getting a structure? What was the biggest shift for you in scaling your business?
Income.
Meaning you were able to increase your income once you got all those things in place?
Yeah, massively.
I
was able to get off the wheel and get out in front and, be on stage and connect with other professionals that I could build collaborative partnership or relationships with and scale. You just can't do that if you're just sitting at the computer the whole time being the one that's delivering all the work.
Exactly. And again, and now pretty much the knowledge personalities love that, right? They're the ones that kind of engineer the world and make the world work. But if you're not that personality type, and especially as a nurturing and an action, you want to be out in front. You want to be out in the world and be in that connection. And if you're just stuck behind your computer, you're not part of a team. You're like a party of one. And
Yes.
and having that team is essential for being able to grow your business, but also increase your impact in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We all get into business in order to do something. So what is it that you're doing? And I really, again, it's identifying what systems do you need? What system? So the action this week is, what system are you going to be building? So identify one system, and then we want to map out, okay, what do I have to do in order to build that system? So like for me with my podcast, I hired somebody to edit all my podcast shows. Now I have somebody that I'm hiring to do all the artwork. So that way I actually have a Clarity Corner with Christiana image, which, as you know, Karen, would have been your first step, but clearly it's like 2 months in for me, right? Because I know she's probably like, that would be number one. But again, now I'm outsourcing it. So that way I have the artwork, and then it's just a matter of going through and then listening and creating the blurbs. So that's the system I'm getting in place this month, is making sure I have that up. So that way the radio show can be more useful for people. I can go and direct people to different things that can help them, so they don't always have to wait on me. They can go and do their own research and have fun and listen and get what they need.
Yep, absolutely.
What system are you focusing on building then? Are you going to be focusing on building your clients and doing the circle back?
Yeah, that's one of them. Yep. I'm also at a point where I need to find a mini me again. Yeah. But again, it's sort of, you get the process going and it becomes this well-oiled machine, and then you sort of you kind of hit the ceiling, right? And you go, oh wait, I got to build something so I can get on the other side of this. Like you said, the next rung. So that's kind of what I am doing now, is working on how I can bring somebody in to do what I'm doing more on the 30-day facelift.
Mm-hmm.
So that I can start to do more upselling and other things.
Excellent.
For my clients.
Well, and again, when you're looking at fulfilling that person, you also want to think about, what is it that you want them to do? Would it be good to have somebody who's more of a nurturing blueprint because they want to tick all the boxes, but they want to have that relationship with people? Or, because you want to be able to have somebody that's going to be able to follow a system. Right.
Exactly.
So you want to think about, what type of person do you want in that role? If you get somebody who's super knowledge, they're going to give them all the information and overload people. And then they're not, right? They're going to blow them out. So you really want to think about what person would be best suited for that role. And so that may be
funny
something.
You say that, because I have been thinking of that too, because I'm like, I can't really have a strong nurturer, because honestly, when you are in that coaching role, and this because it's a fine line when you're the one that they're looking to for the guidance, for the guardrails, right? Holding the hands and moving them forward and keeping them on track. And they're looking to you as the subject matter expert. They don't really want somebody that's going to get on the phone and be like, oh, what do you need? How can I help you? They're going, are you supposed to be telling me?
Right. They don't need a friend. They need a coach. They need somebody who's going to direct them. Absolutely.
Exactly.
But so maybe a blueprint nurturer, so that they have a softer edge. Cause sometimes the blueprints are very matter of fact and they're very logical and they don't understand emotion. So if all your people are nurturing action, you need to have that nurturing there. So maybe a blueprint nurturer would be really good, because that way, all of a sudden they're going to be able to relate to people that are going on, or a blueprint action might be a good one for that. All right. So the clarity action of the week is, you're going to choose one system that you need to put in place this month. What is that system that you want to be able to create? And then you're going to decide, you're going to write out all the steps of it. So you have it all down. And as you write it down, what will happen is you'll see steps that you're forgetting. So you'll be able to fill it in, and then look at, what are the parts I don't need to be doing, and look at outsourcing it. And so one of the big things that I find when it comes to outsourcing, because we're getting down to the wire here with 3 minutes left, is when it comes to outsourcing, you want to give the same project to 2 or 3 people and then see how they complete the project. Instead of doing one at a time, you really want to be able to see what is the quality of their work. That's a little hack on being able to find somebody, because you'll find somebody that works better. And you'll see their quality of work. So if you have that, that's what I would recommend. So again, delegate and then block out the steps in your calendar. Make sure it's on your calendar for this month so you have blocks of time in order to be able to get that created. Karen, we have just a couple minutes left. Just like a 30-second wrap up. What do you want to leave people with today?
Well, and definitely supporting what you just said is when you document all the processes, it's a lot easier to also delegate to more than one person, because I created all the processes and then found this amazing person, but she got kind of overloaded, right? She got to a point where she was like, I can't take anymore. So I had to then find another person. But because I had it all fully documented, it was a well-oiled machine. They were able to just step in and run with it. And that was huge. So it gave me confidence that I knew that I could find other people and bring more in and scale in that sense as well. And, another thing that I've incorporated over the last couple of years is, and you're a big proponent of this, is the time blocking.
Yes.
And that has been huge for me because there are so many things like I don't want to do, but
time blocking is huge.
Right?
And on that note,
30 minutes, I'm going to do that and I'm done.
Exactly. Go to 10minutemagic.com. If you go to claritymapping.com, you can find 10-Minute Magic. That is the best time blocking system that I have. Guys, thank you. First of all, I really want to give a big thank you to Karen Albert. Thank you so much for being here. I always get so many amazing, great nuggets and takeaways from you and your experience. And guys, thank you for tuning in and coming along with the journey this week. Next week, we're going to be talking about your environment. How can we set that up for success and clean it up? And be sure to check out Clarity Corner every Wednesday at 5 p.m. We're here to help you clear the clutter, find the systems and structure to support your personal style, and how to get a quick result so you can stay in action. And it's all backed by over 2 decades of experience. So guys, have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week.